Psst, psst, you. Yeah, you. You, lovely listener of the TWITTTY podcast. You want to know what I have? I have TWITTY pod fever. Horrible. I went to the doctor yesterday. No cure for it. Except for the hair of the dog that bit me. Yeah, to listen to more TWITTY podcast. Right? That's crazy. But, I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it and see if I get better. Now, you, dear listener and fan of our show, I would say that you probably have TWITTY pod fever as well. And just like my doctor told me, I recommend that you listen to more TWITTY pod to help you through it. There's medicines for everything, but this is a more natural, more holistic route, kind of like what Dee was talking about in Dee Crashes Out. True listeners, you'll know what I'm referring to. Anyhow, I just wanted to get on here and give you this cure and let you know to always like, comment, share, subscribe to TWITTY podcast. And also check the show notes where you can find our website. That's twittypod.buzzsprout.com. twittypod.buzzsprout.com. Links to our YouTube and links to all the podcast directories and our bios if you want to find out a little bit more about Kat, Dee, and myself, Jay. Anyway, just wanted to come on here and let you know that there is a way out, but it's more listening to our podcast. That's what I'm trying to tell you every Saturday. I can't believe it. I almost forgot to tell you. You can text us. Yeah, you can tell us how your symptoms of TWITTY pod fever are. In the show notes, there's a link called Send Us a Text. Go ahead, pour it out. Let us know how you're doing. We may even read it on the air, with your permission, of course. Now, back to the episode. Hello, and welcome to That's What I'm Trying to Tell You, the podcast where women from different generations sit down to share their unique perspectives on life, current events, and everything in between. So join us as we navigate through topics with laughter, a little wisdom, and a whole lot of authenticity. So, consumerism has been the name of the game in the Western world for the last 45 years or so. And with that, with influencer culture in the last 15 years or so, you've gotten this generation of women, people that live to present this image of living, well, now it's called a soft life, but a life where you just, as Kat sent out a video where one influencer said, I drink matcha, I stay pretty and slim and do Pilates and I shop. And that is basically the mentality. It's turned into a meme, but I think that's kind of the basis of the influencer lifestyle and the aspirational vision that some of these kids have, or even older adults have, for this life that's easy and that is kind of vapid, and that's what you do and it's okay, and other people buy into it and work and live to, that's the gold standard, and to live that life eventually. I don't know how you guys feel about that, or what you think.
Well, I had some interesting reflections on that because I watched a video that you, Jay, sent to all of us by somebody called, I believe, Professor Jang on YouTube. And he was sort of talking about the rise of the consumer culture and how, after the Second World War, and then in the 70s, 60s, 70s, the Western culture was kind of focused on the worker and the rise of unions, making lives for workers better. The promise of the government was you'll have a good job, you'll be able to buy a house, your kids will, do better than you, that kind of thing. And then I guess in the 80s, it was the rise of Reagan as president and voodoo economics. And I don't actually pretend to know much at all about economics. I actually find it all very confusing.
Me either. Yeah.
As I understand it, voodoo economics was sort of that idea that if you pump a lot of money into the upper classes, that somehow this will trickle down to the lower classes because the upper classes will invest in things.
Mm.
And as I believe, I guess, well, also the 80s was the whole rise of the free market.
Yes.
And so the promise of the government was you'll have access to lots of cheap goods, was sort of, which is a total consumerist point of view. But I don't think, well, voodoo economics does not seem to have actually worked the way they thought. And it's just become like the rich get richer. And we started to see that more of a divide between the upper class and what they, and the working class. But that rise of consumerism kind of meant a rise in competition, right? It's
Yeah.
like, instead of a society working together, like the whole rise of the unions, like if we all rise together, that's good for all of us. It was more, I want to make as much money as possible. That's how success is measured. And so I want to show off to all of my friends, how successful I am. And it just seems like social media has just come along at the right moment and ties perfectly into that, right? That, instead of just showing off to your little circle of friends, you can show off to the world.
Yes.
You can become an influencer. You can make money, more money, doing that too. And I actually sort of had this thought that with all that competitiveness and everything, right? It's like people being judged by how much money they make, how much stuff they have. That's actually very wearing on the soul.
Very wearing on the soul. And I was going to say, they don't talk about the other side of that, which is the average person can't afford a rich and famous lifestyle, but they can appear to afford it through debt. So
Yes,
these people are
exactly.
opening credit cards, taking out mortgages, second mortgages,
Well,
getting car notes to look like, yeah, I'm doing all right.
And that's instant gratification, which is what social media can provide.
well, that also,
and they don't think about,
Yeah.
that means there's more debt involved.
right. Well, that whole cycle led to that whole mortgage crisis, the whole financial crash of 2008, right? Because the banks they were handing out home loans right and left. These
Yes.
people couldn't afford it, but hey, it looked great on social media until like their interest rates ran up and then they had to default on their houses. Right? That whole consumerist culture, it's, I think people still don't want to admit now how stressful it is. And I'm wondering if some of what we see on social media, like you were saying, like kind of a reversion to, I want an easy life. For women who put up there, like, I want the easy life. I just want to drink my matchas and go to Pilates and work out. And some feminists are saying, what are you talking about? That's just, you're reversing all the gains that women have made. But I wonder if part of it is because it's exhausting for women to feel like they have to achieve all that. And they kind of would rather fall back in some way, right? To just like, just let me depend on a man to provide for me.
Absolutely. Because you think about it, that's how our mothers and grandmothers grew up. They got married to a man and he was the breadwinner. And okay, yeah, they stayed home. They tended to the household. They probably didn't work. But I guarantee you, if you ask them, were they stressed in the way that us modern women are stressed, working a 40-hour plus a week job in a dead-end position with not a lot of pay raises, and you're just a single woman surviving in a big city where you're not dating, there's no prospect of marriage, they probably would have said, you know what? Yeah, that's a little harder than what I had to go through, at least maybe physically, maybe psychologically. We can ask them how their relationships were behind closed doors. They might have dealt with more, but yeah, I don't know. That's what my disagreement with feminism is, because I don't know, I guess because of feminism is such a strong ideal and it makes you kind of believe, okay, I'm a woman, I'm fighting for equality with a man, but I don't know. What am I trying to say? I guess I'm trying to say, I don't think that's what the true intention of feminism is, because men and women are different, right? Physically. I don't know. What is feminism trying to say, because the definition is that you're trying to reach equality with men, right?
I think if I could just...
Yeah, go ahead. I'm kind of talking myself into a circle, but...
I kind of think what feminism should be, is it? I don't know, but I think it should be equal opportunity.
That's not going to happen.
And
I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen.
I guess what I'm saying, I mean, you say that it won't happen, but I mean, I guess I feel like it's a worthwhile thing to strive for. And what I mean by equal opportunity is I think that any given woman should be allowed to live whatever life she wants to live and try and have the opportunity to do whatever job she wants to do. And it basically stops there for me.
Okay.
In the sense that I don't believe every woman has to do that.
Right. But we are still intellectual equals with men.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
this might not go down well, but like women that are Secret Service agents, I was watching a clip on YouTube when Donald Trump's first assassination attempt, they ran back the footage. He had some female Secret Service agents working at that time. And the reaction time was, I'm going to just say, a little slower compared to their male counterparts. And you see, they played like two different footages of how male and female Secret Service agents react, and the men were a little quicker. So,
well, okay.
Not that women shouldn't have that opportunity, but
that's a really good point, actually, because I guess I should have a caveat on what I said, because there are physical differences.
Yeah.
Between men and women. And I read this a while ago. And so apparently in the armed services, I think this is for the special services, right? So, like the Rangers and that sort of thing. So women originally weren't in combat roles. But now, thank you for equality, we can be sent to fight too. But the special services had to open the door to women. And when they did it initially, I guess the armed forces said, well, we are going to open the doors to women, but they have to compete at the same level as the men. And I'm sure that there are some women that can do that. Absolutely.
Right. How many actually want to?
Well, I know that's the thing. How many?
And I'll ask you why you said that the equality will never happen after she. Go ahead.
This is where we move into the whole DEI issue, because what happened was women were not passing. Because they physically could not reach those levels that the men had to reach in order to be, successful. And so DEI stepped in and said, well, that's not right.
Good old DEI.
Yeah, that's not right, because we need to have an equal number of women in this if you're going to say that women can be in this. So let's just lower the standards to be a SEAL or to be a Ranger.
Nah, bruh.
And so they lowered it until they could get a 50% pass rate for women.
Okay.
And I'm just like, that's ridiculous.
Now, what comes to mind now is the trans women. Okay. We know about the swimmers. We know about the military. Now they can pass certain tests because
I guess a trans woman could be a ranger.
Yeah,
right?
Probably more trans women.
What about that?
Well, they aren't allowed they aren't allowed in the military as it stands anyway now.
That's right. Right under Trump, they passed that legislation. Yeah, for like psychological reasons. I think they cited. Or let me look that up.
While you look that up, so Dee, why do you say that will never happen? Equality of the
we have been fighting this battle for centuries. For years and years and years. And I'm going to make it short. There's always some wall that we hit, It's just like the example that you just gave. You know what I mean? It's just constant. Men and women are different. We have different mindsets. Men are good at some things, women are good at others. You know what I mean? It depends on the job. Some women are quick to multitask. They can do things, and men just can't do it.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to always step on somebody's toes. Someone's always going to be offended, So
we really do this. The two genders complement each other, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's what you're saying. Yeah, that's how I would sum up what you're saying.
It sound like I'm, coming from like the 1940s or anything like that, but there are just some things that men are really good at and some things that women are really good at.
Yeah.
But you cannot discriminate.
Now.
Well, I was just going to say, you can't discriminate, especially now.
Well, you can't say that without getting accused of being discriminatory, right?
Or anything else. Yeah. Exactly.
They'll say you're...
Well, I totally agree. There's certain things that men are probably in general better at than women, and likewise, there's certain things that women are better at than men. I guess this is where I disagree with the DEI sort of initiative is I don't believe the outcome has to be 50-50 or whatever.
Right.
I believe the opportunity should be open.
Yes. To whoever could pass the previous benchmark.
Whoever can pass the the benchmark.
Yeah.
And as you were talking, I just flashed in my head. I was thinking, well, it's interesting, like med school now, it's like 50-50 men and women. In fact, women might be a little bit higher.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody talks about like women in STEM is low. That has not been my experience. My experience has been there are a lot of women in STEM careers. Certain careers within that, like maybe computer programming or computer science, they might be lagging, but they're coming up in that. But I was just sort of thinking, like, with universities, right, they're supposed to admit, they're supposed to do admissions colorblind. And I was thinking that, you know what, like, what would happen if they did it completely anonymously? No name, no sex, no race. All you got are transcripts and what somebody wrote.
That would.
And I suppose maybe,
That really.
I suppose maybe from what they wrote, you might be able to tell male or female. But
Yeah.
but trying to do that, and I just sort of wonder, as a thought experiment, what would the outcome be? What would the class be like if you just accepted based on those things?
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about anyway.
It's true.
I don't think anybody would do it.
No.
But I think it's interesting to think about.
I found the official announcement. Okay, well, this is according to Brave, their AI, of why trans people aren't allowed in the military. As of August, it was signed into effect February 26, 2025. The DoD justifies the ban by asserting that the presence of transgender service members is not in the best interest of the military and is not consistent with the interests of national security. It claims that transgender individuals, particularly those with a history of or diagnosis of gender dysphoria, face medical, surgical, and mental health constraints that affect readiness, deployability, and unit cohesion. The policy disqualifies individuals who have undergone hormone replacement therapy or transition-related surgeries, or who exhibit symptoms consistent with gender dysphoria, regardless of their current health or fitness. And then it says, under this policy, all official military documents must reflect a service member's sex assigned at birth, and transgender individuals are required to follow grooming, uniform fitness, and urinalysis standards based on that sex. And they don't have access to gender-affirming medical care as well in the military if they were to join, but they can't join. So
I wonder how many current serving military were there that were transgender. I mean, you read these articles and they always will have one person they quote, but they never really talk about what the number is. I would expect it to be quite low. Just like when we're talking about the whole transgender issue in sports, really we're just talking about
5 people.
A few people, like in say the NCAA or whatever, right? We're talking about a handful of people, maybe 20 out of all the college athletes. I don't know. I have opinions on that, but I don't know if this is the right time to be going in that direction. But
all right, we took a little bit of a left turn there, but still, it's all our thoughts and opinions. That's why you come, right? Anyway, we'll circle back to the consumerism part. I wonder if, okay, being an influencer is easy work, right? But I wonder how many people we're not taught. I'll say this. I don't think it's encouraged in Western society. Like this professor said in his video, you're taught to just go to school so you can get a job, so you can make money. You're not really encouraged, even though my parents encouraged me and Kat. I know you probably told your kids it's okay to do what you love. But when you're 18 and you go to college, you don't know what you want to do. And you just fall, like me, I'm in something they hired me just because that was the first job I got out of college. And I'm still there 8 years later. It's not what I want to do, but it helps pay the bills, right? But this podcasting is more of my passion. Hopefully I'll be able to do this full time one day. But I really wish there had been more of an emphasis away from consumer culture and you go to school to get a job and that's it, and an emphasis on what do you want to do, what speaks to you, and then kind of help you to, okay, I know I'm going to have to make money. I don't have to be super wealthy and I don't have to compete with people, but I need to support myself from this passion. And I know how you guys feel about that, but or if you were even, I could even ask you, were you ever encouraged to think of finding a job, after college in something that you actually wanted to do? I know we've discussed this before, but would it have been, I don't know how that would have shaped your career choice later on if you had been encouraged, to look at your passion more instead of job training.
Put it in the comments. Please let us know. We would love to know that.
Yeah, you guys. But you guys answer. Let me know.
It's interesting because having had 3 kids go to college, there's a lot of pressure on kids now to know exactly what they want to major in when they enter. Mm-hmm. And the way college is set up, the way the majors are and everything, my youngest was complaining that, they tell you that the first first 2 years of college are for you to explore and expand your mind and look at different things and see what you might be interested in. But in reality, if you want to get out of school in 4 years, you can't do that because your major is going to require all these prerequisites before you declare.
All of
And
that.
you've got to take all those classes in order to ultimately declare. Declare what? I mean,
Right.
you're really stuck, especially if you even entertain the notion of going into a STEM career. There's a ton of prerequisites that you have to do your first or second year. You're totally screwed. You'll be there for 8 years. I had one kid who knew exactly what they wanted to do and was just on a straight line path, and it was very clear. I had 2 other ones who didn't know what they wanted to do, and they majored in something that didn't lead directly to some kind of job after college, and it's really stressful because they do feel the pressure to be out there and earning their living and all of that.
And you know
it's
what?
really stressful on them.
You know, what we watched on that video that you sent, it's all because I'm going to call it consumerism in the sense that we are taught as parents, okay, get your kid into school. You're going just like me, you're going to go to school, get a, and I'm going to quote, good job. Then you're going to get married.
And it's all on this timeline, this invisible timeline.
See anything wrong. I'm noticing now that now they're talking more, they're pushing the trades on kids, you know, on as an option.
And they should.
The trades should
Yeah.
not be looked down upon.
Well,
Being a plumber, being
where would you be if you couldn't get a plumber?
Right.
Electrician.
An auto mechanic to me is like a surgeon. I mean, and these are high paying professions and they're much needed.
Not going to be
There's
taken by AI.
nothing wrong, in my opinion, with telling your kid, you know what? Don't feel pressured. If you want to take a year or 2 off and you want to work, don't think about what you want to do. Go out there into the world. If you want to travel, if you want to work and just take some classes or not, let them do it. But so many people are conditioned to, how will I look as a parent? Am I going to be a failure? Is my kid going to look like a failure? If they say, I don't know what I want to do, I'm 18, I'm graduating, I still don't know what I want to do. There's nothing wrong with that. But society, we are so competitive. We are so competitive from the time they're in school. Are you in sports? What are you playing? Are you in, what were we talking about? Baseball the other day, like being in this a certain league or
Are you playing travel ball?
travel ball, all of that. And that puts pressure on us as parents. It puts pressure on the child.
Financially.
And then, well, he looks like he's going to do this, or he might be a good musician. Let me get him into this school because they're known for their, how many, you know,
Or this
famous people.
camp, conservatory.
All of that, all of it.
Well, and here comes social media again.
Right.
And
Right.
Just at the
all
right
that.
time. Yeah.
Let's
document it.
Yes. When did it become necessary for kids to have to post on social media where they got into school by wearing the sweatshirt or whatever? Like, that is nothing but a brag.
Craziness.
All of that.
Craziness.
And that's what I'm saying. It creates craziness. And if we could just stop and say, you know what? I want my kid to be well-rounded, healthy. Let them choose what they want to do.
Yeah. The key is to shake that. I get it's two-sided. You want to be successful for yourself, but then you also can easily get wrapped up in, okay, well, that success is going to tell other people that I'm, you know, a good person or whatever, but that's not the real key to success here. I'm finding the key to success is to always just follow your heart and yourself and not be concerned with outside sources.
Well, I always tell my kids that there are lots of paths to what you end up doing, right? It doesn't have to be a straight line. I was not a straight line. I sort of wandered around a little bit. And so that's like no shame on you to not know exactly what you want to do from the get-go.
Not on you and not on, as a parent. I say, if you trust and know in your heart of hearts, in your core, that you did everything that you could for this individual or these individuals, they will be okay. You're okay.
Right. And that you did it for the right reasons,
okay.
right?
You, of course. And we have to stop thinking about what others think, what others say, because that, if you let it get in your head, you're done.
Hey everyone, and thanks for tuning in to another episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, please follow, comment, and reach out on our socials. Also, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. If you resonated with anything in the episode, be it products or topics, make sure to check the show notes for additional information, or shoot us an email if you like. See you next time.